Hello, YouTube. Welcome, guys. This is Mark coming at you from TRADEPRO Academy headquarters here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And welcome back to another edition of the Midday Update. This is going to be update number 15 for us for today's lovely date of Monday, April 29th, 2019. So we've got the last 2 days of April trading going on today and tomorrow. Quite a volatile week ahead. As far as news events, we've got FOMC statement on Wednesday, and then we've got the NFP and US labor numbers coming out on Friday. So that's going to be quite big drivers in the markets this week. However, for today's session, we did not get the morning update out as our fearless leader has fallen sick. However, he'll be back in good spirit real soon. So until then, I'll take over here. So what we've seen, just because we didn't cover the morning update, let's take a quick look at some of the economic releases that came out overnight in the morning session, and then we'll take a look at what we had really since 9:30, since the cash open, and if we've got anything for the remainder of the session. So let's go ahead and get started. Out of the US, we had quite a few figures come out today. We had March PCE core month over month number came in at 0% versus 0.1 expected. Year over year came in at 1.6 versus 1.7% expected. We had March personal income came in at 0.1% versus 0.4% expected. Personal spending also a little bit of an increase there, a little bit of a beat, 0.9% versus 0.7% expected. We also had the March PCE deflator month over month figures, 0.2% versus 0.3 expected. Year over year came in at 1.5% versus 1.6% expected. A couple of other squawks we have here. U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, my apologies, mentioned enforcement part of China trade deal almost complete. This is coming from the financial press. We also had the April Dallas Fed manufacturing activity came in today at 2 versus 10 expected. So a bit of a miss on that front as well. We also have S&P 500 futures hitting new all-time highs above September intraday high of 29.40.91. That is what the squawk is showing. However, the futures high, I believe, was 29.47, the all-time high. And we've traded that today, so new all-time highs traded so far today, but we have pulled back a little bit off of those highs. So that's what we've seen in the SPOs. As far as anything, let's see here, anything scheduled? Nothing really scheduled for the remainder of this session. And so we'll keep an eye out on the technicals. And again, we'll keep an eye out or an ear open as far as the squawk is concerned. If we've got any squawks coming out there. So as far as news, that is all of the news. So now you've been updated as far as everything that's happened. Nothing really looking to look forward to today. Again, it's going to be a little bit quieter until Wednesday. We've got the FOMC statement followed by the press conference. And on Friday, we've got NFP in addition to a couple of the other labor numbers out of the US. So that's what we'll be paying attention to for the remainder of the week. As far as the remainder of today's session, let's jump onto our screen share here. Jump onto our screen and take a quick peek at what the quote board is showing us, what the volume is looking like out there today, and what our daily change percentage is looking like for the session so far. So first things first, I want you guys to focus on this little screen here. So what you'll notice first and foremost, ES futures, quite light volume today, 533,000 contracts. This is in comparison to around the 900,000 that we saw on Friday. And it's going to be quite tough to get above all-time highs on such low volume. So that's something to be aware of. We have traded those 47s. Our daily change percentage is 0.25% green. And just remember that this figure is based off of the previous day close, not really the Globex, complete Globex move. So previous day close came in at 29.39. This was Friday's close. And we've got up 0.25% since then. As far as crude oil is concerned, we've traded around 460,000 contracts so far in the session, just about on pace for average volume around 450 to 550,000 around this time of day. In the last couple of weeks is what we've seen. So crude oil is just about on average volume, SP 500 a little bit less than average, and crude oil daily change percentage 0.68% green. We're currently seeing it pressing into the overnight highs, after failing to break back below that previous day close at 62.80, which is something that we were watching for in the room, and we played that range quite nicely today, to be quite honest. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a quick peek at our levels here. I've got to consolidate this just because Friday's price action was so volatile. We had such a big move on it that you can see our pivots coming in at 63.42. That is where our pivot is at. And our S1 comes in all the way down at 61.65, with the R1 coming in at 64.55. So clearly you can see Friday was a big day. And we've kind of been consolidating below these highs here. Let me grab this pen out again. See, there was a little bit of a high here around the 63.40s. This was on Friday, I believe. And so we sat below the pivot today, kind of sat between the 62.40 level and that 63.40 level. So around $1 of a range between the two. And what you've seen is this session didn't quite get down to that 40, traded as low as the 62.46 overnight, and then we've caught a bit of a bid back up to that pivot. A little bit of a dip into those 62.80s, as we mentioned. Crude was unable to break back down to those overnight lows. Now we're seeing a little bit of a rotation higher into that pivot zone. So that's what we'll be watching for here. Like I said, we are currently testing our overnight high, and if we go a bit above that level, that 63.50 will be the next zone in potential target. And up there, if we can crack those 63.50s, those 64s might just be target for the buyers on that front as well. So that's what we're seeing here. Pivot has to be broken if we get a move back up above the pivot and we see the sellers really step in. That could be it for this upside, and we could see another potential press back down to the lows. So that's what we'll be watching for as far as the crude oil futures are concerned. If we take a quick peek over at our S&P 500, you'll see that we're kind of stuck right now between the pivot and the the pivot, which comes in at 34s, and the R1, which comes in at your 50.75. And between that, you'll notice if I open up my pivot chart here, rather if I scale out of it a little bit, you'll notice that we have broken this previous resistance that was holding throughout a majority of the last week. This level right around here broke the 29.40s. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 rotations at that level, unable to break each time. And we had that nice rotation lower, which we were mentioning. We had to release some of those late buy stops sell stops in order to get your new influx of traders, in order to get that liquidity for a potential push to all-time highs. And we saw that here, higher low formed, and we've kind of been trading higher, broke above this level now, and retested it as support. Now we're pressing back up towards those highs, and I could see us potentially ranging here before another upside move happens later into the session. Could see a breakout into the end of the session. It's kind of looking that way right now. And we either see a breakout into the end of the session and some consolidation into Globex, into Asia, or we see a consolidation for a remainder of today's session and a potential move overnight higher. So that's kind of what we've got our eyes on here. Now that we've got our pivots, our sentiment for both of these markets. Let's open up the range bar charts here and have a quick peek at some of the key levels. And this is what you're seeing right now, guys. Crude oil, really since Friday, I've got to zoom out quite significantly here to show you guys the context of the price action. You can see Friday opened up here and really spent the majority of the session selling off, lower lows, lower highs, coming all the way down into these lows at the 62.40s. Pressed off of those since then and found a bit of rotation. So we are currently kind of hanging around, unable to, this was our overnight low here, 62.46, pressed back up, and our pit, or rather the pit opened up around the 63.07 level. We're unable to get above that overnight high, 63.26, right? Rotated back down, couldn't quite press back into the overnight lows. So this we're seeing as a little bit of a higher low. And so transitioning, well, now that we've gone bid above this zone, if we can get bid above the 63.50s, then I can see us holding this level of support for a little bit of a deeper pullback here on crude into that previous day high around the 64.35 could be a target for the next couple of days. If we do see the bulls press into the 63.50 and a failure, you can see we've got previous highs right around that level. So volume's also picking up as well. If we get a move up into this zone and we see a failure from the buyers to be able to hold that level as support for continuation higher, then what we'll likely see is a little bit of rotations, another press back down right into that pit VWAP, into that open level. This level gives, then we can see our move back down. However, if we see this level hold as support, now that we've broken above it, that could give us a potential qualifier, push this thing a little bit higher. Again, 63.60s, and then your next level would be your 64s before the previous day high comes in at those 64.35s. So that's what we've got for crude. Let's switch on over to the S&P 500 chart. This guy's a little bit busier than my crude oil chart, just because I have the market depth shown here on the S&P 500. And what you're seeing is we had an open right around that level there. That level is your stuck between everything, 29.42 quarter, I think, and kind of sat within the range of the opening range for a majority of the session. We are kind of pressing it higher now. Again, we were mentioning in the room that we're not really expecting to see a breakout on the first test of those all-time highs. Again, we are coming into summer market, summer volatility, and that generally means more fakeouts than breakouts, rather more fakeouts than true breakouts. And so you'll often see the markets trading new highs by a tick or two before rotating lower. And that's kind of what we've seen here so far today. I mean, the SPOOs have bid up into those all-time highs, saw that rotation lower off of that, come back up into that zone again, broken it by one tick, rotated lower. One thing to note though, however, is that each time we're coming up into the zone, we are making higher lows. So you see there's your first low, second low, third low now, and the resistance is holding strong horizontal resistance right here in those 29.47s. So you can really see this as one of two things, and I'll draw this out for you here. You're either seeing this as a, just get this thing on par here. There we go. So you're either seeing this as a potential kind of like a pennant pattern here. We're seeing some resistance. If this does hold again, and then we kind of fail to break out, I can see us spilling back down into our previous day close right around this 29.40, previous day close, overnight low as well. However, if we do get this breakout here, you can see there's 1, 2, 3 tests of it. Fourth test coming in now. If we don't rotate lower again, you could see us rotating maybe down into that 44 quarter, 44.30s for the next push higher. However, if we do come in back into that level and we see the buyers fail to really drive this thing higher, and we start seeing these offers, these red offers here, start stepping down, we can see a potential move lower. So that's really what we'll be watching for. I don't have my DOMs up, but earlier in the morning, we were seeing around 2,000 contracts sitting in those 29.50s. Not too sure if they're still up there. Let me take a quick peek, see if they're still up there. And let me see if I can pull up my DOMs here for you guys and see if that level's up there. Open trading DOM. Ooh, this is quite ugly, but that's fine. So what you're seeing here, I'm not sure why this DOM is up, but is what it is. You've got around 1,200 contracts sitting in those 47 halves, and you still have 2,400 sitting in those 2950. So inventory remains to the upside. You are seeing the supply here kind of hold and capping the attempt from the bulls. So as long as this level holds, we could see a little bit of a pullback. Am I seeing anything lower here on the DOM as far as bids? Nothing crazy as far as bids. Your next inventory level comes in around that 750 level here. So what you're seeing, 43, this is your next real cluster of inventory to the downside. Upside, currently right at it, with the ultimate magnet rate at that half figure, 2950. Around 2,300 contracts setting up there. And so you're just seeing these red lines are reflective of this inventory. So majority of the bids sitting down here, majority of the offers sitting right up there. And so that's currently the battle that we're seeing on the S&P 500. And that's pretty much it as far as levels for the remainder of the session. You guys now know there's no real news pending. You got your key levels. And to finish it up, let's take a quick gander at our TRADEPRO Performance Index right here. And so second last day of April trading, we are coming into a close on April. Again, numbers still positive, not the greatest result, 59.26% green, meaning majority of our room again was green. Are continuing with this bullish trend here of positive numbers throughout the majority of April. Again, we had one day that was a little bit tight here. What was this, April 3rd? However, the majority of the week, or rather of the month, we've been looking good. Our average for the month so far, 66% green. So far, one more day to close this out. Looking to close out on a strong note there. So that's going to be all from me today, guys. If you will be trading into the latter end of that session, make sure to follow the 3 rules. Stay patient, stay diligent, and stay disciplined. Until tomorrow, good luck and good trading, guys. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you then. Take care.